young black
A young black
equestrian.
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 black equestrian.
Equestrian.
Black equestrian.
Equestrian.
Black equestrian.
I'm a young black equestrian.
I am a young black equestrian.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Young Black Equestrians with your hosts, Aubriana Johnson.
And Caitlin Gooch.
We are back after a little hiatus, but that's all right because that's our business, like Tabitha Brown said. But I feel like after all the stuff that we did in the last year, especially during Black History Month, I kind of had like this like revelation. Like, why do we have to work so hard to educate people during this month? Like, every day we're gonna have a new Black history fact. It's like, do we have to? Like, that takes a lot of energy, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I was perfectly fine with really not doing much at all.
Yeah.
The one good thing that did come, or not one, but one of the good things that came out of February was redoing the website. So that's up. Y'all can go visit that and read about us. I don't really know there's nothing really new on there. It's just redone. Yeah, you can listen to episodes on the website now. I think you could do that before, but it just wasn't pretty. But now it's pretty. So if you want to go to youngblackequestrians.com and listen to our episodes, you definitely can. But yeah, what is something good that happened to you in February?
I don't know. February.
I don't know.
February went by really fast.
I felt like it did.
Already the 8th of March.
I know. I told you the other day, I was looking at something and it was like applications open March 1st. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just put it in my calendar so I get reminded. And then my calendar was like, girl, it's March 4th. I was like, oh, so they open now. Got it.
Right.
I
don't remember what has happened. Something good in February. I have no idea.
Well, hopefully you got rest in February.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, I feel like
took a break with stuff, I guess directly with Saddle Up and Read. Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna get back out. Just because I don't like how these coronavirus cases are just increasing in North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, and people are just like out here, like doing whatever they want.
Partying.
Yeah, like between Georgia and Texas specifically is like, oh, y'all just not gonna do what?
Now, people aren't wearing their mask correctly. It's just too much.
Yeah.
But for March, we had a bunny. That was really exciting.
That's good. That is good. That is good.
Making me really happy just to be in here.
No. Oh. Well, today's episode is pretty much just a conversation. We don't have a guest, obviously. We'll have a guest some other time. But with Black History Month just wrapping up, there were a lot of conversations that I saw, because Black, and Horse Girl, and, just seeing people coming across us for Black History Month, I guess, navigating the experience themselves, whether they're just now finding other people of color. There's always going to be somebody out there who doesn't know us, doesn't know the different communities that have been created on Facebook, and they show up and they're like, what is this? Or what do y'all do? So some of these experiences or some of these conversations that have happened over the last month or so really just got me thinking. So I kind of have like two questions that kind of close together or kind of related, but the first one came from our friend Avery. And Avery said in our last YBE like fireside chat, what do we consider a Black equestrian? And how do we define that so it's not like a monolith? And so everybody's not thinking it's the same experience for everybody. And in the chat, everybody was going around saying, what they think a Black equestrian is. And I know what we think it is, but it was interesting that they brought that up because it's that word equestrian, honestly. I feel like people really get stuck. You said, what is that person? Did they comment on our YouTube channel?
Yeah, they said they wanted us to make a video about the difference between Black equestrian and a Black rider. And it's the word. It's like, it's an expensive word.
Yes.
Don't use that word around here to describe us.
Yes. And so I feel like we haven't done one of these episodes in a while. I know in the beginning we were like, what is a Black Panther? What is a Black Panther?
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like it's real simple. An equestrian is someone who rides a horse. I know that a lot of people feel like cowboys are not equestrians for some reason. Like equestrian means English.
Right.
To me, equestrian is more synonymous with like horse person, horse people, like horseback rider, than it is with cowboy or with, I don't even know what you call I guess you just call them by their discipline, a jumper, a hunter, whatever the heck other English disciplines, eventer. I don't know. I just feel like people are making it real hard sometimes. And I feel like cowboys like cow.
Right.
You don't have something to do with a cow, then it's just like, all right, well, you equestrian. You just
right.
That's my thought process behind it.
Yeah, and my dad, he would say the same thing. Like, he's made that clarification. He's like, we don't have cows, and then people who do, they take offense to that, because they're real cowboys out there. People who ride horses and do things with cattle. And then there's like the word horseman or horsewoman. I don't like saying that word all the time.
It's long.
Yeah, it's really long. I just rather say equestrian. Like everybody falls under that. Like you said, like you rode a horse, you're an equestrian. No matter if it was bareback, English, Western, whatever other saddles are out there.
Yeah.
It's all equestrian.
Yeah. And on top of that, although we say that, everybody who rides a horse is an equestrian, we do understand that everyone's experience is different. So for us, people are always surprised that we are not competitive. We are not writing English majority of the time. We are not, you know, people that operate that way. And so a lot of times when people come to us, we'll give suggestions on, you know, how to interact in a barn. We've both been in barn situations. We've been in these environments where we connect with other people that ride horses, but we grew up around a lot of Black horse people. So to say or to expect a certain experience just because you say I'm a Black equestrian, it is just simply not true. Like, Black people in this industry are not a monolith. We're not, everybody doesn't have the same experience, and it is not to say one is better than the other. I mean, we've been preaching that from the very beginning.
Right.
But it's just baffling to me sometimes, to which kind of goes into the next question, like how the expectation is I guess the same for some people. Like, oh, I went to this white owned barn. I'm looking for a Black barn, but I wanted to have all these things. Not saying that they don't happen. Not saying that it doesn't happen. There are very many people who, you know, have the same quality of facilities, but that's ignoring, or the demand is ignoring, the systemic economic issues surrounding Black people and ownership. And it's like, okay, thanks. But maybe a lot of Black people just don't want you just like in their business like that. So they're not going to have their stables plastered all over the tack store. They're not going to have, you know, they're not going to be in the Facebook groups. They're not. And that's just us speaking from knowing people that have places, have properties, but they're not going to do those things.
Yeah, and a lot of them, it's at their house.
Yeah, like, yeah. And I see so many people like in these groups, like, oh my gosh, I had this horrible boarder and I'm trying to get them to leave, yada yada. They're showing up all times of night, yada yada. And then like live on the property. And a lot of times, you know, when you're dealing with the dynamic between people of color and white people, even in that situation, we have seen historic in the last year, we have seen that you could be shot in your bed by the police and nobody gets in trouble for it. Like, we have seen that. So I guess the question is it fair to expect people of color to have the same openness in their business and in their homes a lot of times? I mean, because honestly, who wants to run a barn and they have to drive to it? You know, I mean, sometimes that's the case, but ideally it would be, you know, a home situation, living on site, you know.
Yeah, this lady, she called me and was like, she just loves the program so much, and she wanted to know if she could come by. And I was like, I'm not gonna be there, so I couldn't tell you when I'm gonna be there again. And then she was like persistent, was like, well, will anybody? No, no, you cannot go there. I'm not there. You can't go there. You know, like my family lives there, and then we have borders. Like, I'm just gonna send you to the barn, and I'm not there for what?
Yeah.
You know, and she was white, of course, and it's just like, I'm sure that happens where they're like, oh, you can just go. The door is always open. No,
Mhm.
not around here.
No,
Always open.
no, no, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's something that I don't know. We can't assume that everybody has the same goals. We can't assume that everyone wants to be this, big operating this huge
Like
facility and,
top trainer, number one breeding program, and all this.
yeah,
Like
yeah, and
people just want to live and enjoy their horses and help the people that they can help.
right, right. And it's not to say that there aren't people out there that want that, but that is the whole point. The experience is not the same for everybody. And I feel like we have to caution ourselves when we're saying, I want to find a black barn and expecting it to look the same, expecting the same kind of, approach, expecting the same kind of, it got a show team and all that. It's like,
The covered arena, all the equipment,
yeah.
nothing rusted, working staff, volunteers.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's I mean, I'm sure I honestly can't name one place that is black owned completely that has all of that, but it's probably out there, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's not to say that the black people are just gonna have some raggedy stuff. Like that's not what we're saying. Um, it's just that I mean we just have to ask ourselves, is it fair to think that what white people do currently is the blueprint for how we're supposed to, raise our horses and interact with our horses and things like that. Like, um, I know Avery has talked about also, there being some super backwoods people that you never would have known, and they know a lot and they have a lot of value to add, and they have, you know, experience that you never would have gotten. I remember Warwick Schiller's episode with Nashawn Cook. He was saying that he did a clinic in BFE, and this old man came up to him and was like, "You know what you need to do with that there horse?" And he was like, "What?" He was like, "You gotta balance your root chakra with your heart chakra." And he was like, "What?" And this man was like, old, looked like a little old redneck, and he was surprised. And it's just like I think of that, like even with white people, like it's not the same experience. So, as we go into these spaces and we're looking for community can be there, but it can be not what you expect for it to look like.
Yeah.
And so if there's certain things that you want, I don't want people to be afraid to find it elsewhere.
Right. Yeah. Um, and a lot of those people are going to be older because they have more experience and because they have, or they might have that foundation. Like, how many black people you know that's our age that owns horses and owns land that their horses are on? Like, there are a lot of us out here and we, doing things, but I don't think many of us own well, a lot of people don't even own their horses, but I don't think a lot of us own land. Um, And when we go looking for those people and those services, it's like somebody that's older, especially when it comes to barriers.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we talked about, getting people into like those kind of jobs, like farrier work, um, you know,
Those
yeah, like
other
trade.
experience.
Yeah, leather work, like trade jobs. And it's just, I feel like that's so important on so many levels, like not even just in the horse industry. We built up, or we have this society where they say, you're supposed to go to college, yet we come out of college and there's people that want to pay us $10 an hour with a bachelor's degree, when you could have not done college and just apprentice for a plumber or an HVAC person, and you have no debt and you get paid $75 an hour.
HVAC, you will never not have a job.
Right. So finding these jobs that support a need that will always be there, and especially in the horse industry, people will always need their horses' feet done. People will always want to ride in a saddle. People will always want to have quality tack. People will always want to transport their horses to and fro safely. So getting kids into these other professions in the industry, I think is super important. And I honestly think that's why it's a difference in how the industry is portrayed in the US versus in Europe, because they take like all of those different jobs, and you're like, it's a whole job. Like, you grew up to be a saddle, like you apprentice, you went through this, stringent program to be a saddle maker. And I mean, you're charging like $10,000 for a saddle because it's made by hand, stuff like that. Whereas it's like here, it's like, we're just gonna buy ours from Germany.
Right.
We're just gonna import.
Wow. It's wow.
Yeah. Or there's only 4 companies that transport horses from the East Coast to the West Coast. So we just gotta wait for one of them to be in the area. Something like that. It's just wild. It is just wild. I think that as we continue on and show up for this community and try to, like, build the community, reach all the people who are looking for this kind of experience, I think that it's so important to just show the variety. And
Yeah.
we've done that a lot. Like, there are people that still send me, oh, hey, have you interviewed this person? And I'm like, oh, thanks for letting me know you don't listen to us. Yes.
Right.
Yes, we did.
Oh, episodes. Go look first.
Yes, like there's so many episodes. It's wild. Oh, I mean, that was a good thing. We celebrated our 2nd year, going into the 3rd year. I don't know why I'm having a lot of trouble with this.
Because this is the beginning of the year and it seems weird. Like,
But does it make it so an anniversary is at the end?
So
like,
yeah, it's 2nd anniversary,
okay.
but now we're in the 3rd year.
Yeah, that's how I'm like, happy Anna. Wait, birthday? Is it our 3rd birthday? 2nd? I don't know. We've been doing this 2 years, and this how is the 3rd one. So that was fun. That's a celebration for February, but
Off? Well, I guess it's not that much off. But in hindsight, when everything happened and people were looking for organizations to donate to, I remember like a bunch of organizations putting on their websites like they were going to donate to Black Lives Matter, the organization. And I remember talking to an equine professional because she came out, she had to do something for one of my horses. And she was talking to me about, she was white, and she was talking to me about Black Lives Matter as an organization and stuff. And she was just saying like why she doesn't support it and stuff. And then I remember telling her and then thinking now, like I didn't know Black Lives Matter as an organization. And you know when we had those conversations about supporting organizations that exist, what in the world did that have to do with anything? Like anything equestrian related, like equestrian organizations were just throwing that up there. And it's like we had YBE and we had Ben, like I mean there were some other ones that they brought up as well, but those people already had platforms. So I was just thinking about that because I think that organization has like $9 million or something now. And it's just like I have no idea what they do, but I never knew Black Lives Matter as an organization. I just knew it as like my friends were going out and they were doing this.
A movement. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just knew it as the movement. It's like, what?
So
like you thinking about that? What does that have to do with anything at all?
yeah, so I think there's a lot of drama around that. Because Black Lives Matter did start off as just a movement, and then someone made it an organization, but it was not the same people who started the movement. So I remember hearing stories about how there is like issues around that because it wasn't the same people, and so people were like don't support Black Lives Matter, but support Black Lives Matter, but don't support the organization, but support the movement. And there was no way to differentiate.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, it's just like, you know what? Our Black lives still matter. So just support who you want.
Yeah,
Support
I
the
thought
programs.
about, I thought about that because when we were having conversations and on these panels, and we were talking about supporting existing, like networks, communities, and organizations, that doesn't just go for white equestrians. Like that also goes for the equestrians of color and Black equestrians. Like people are not gonna know about these things unless y'all talk about it, unless you share it, unless you add to it, which is gonna make it more valuable. Like you can't just look at something and then think that's not really what I want. Let me go make something. Like, no, because now we're splitting resources that we didn't even have access to in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought about that. Because that, like, if it was all framed differently, maybe we would have had a lot more resources to do or to even work with more people or to get the word out even more. But yeah, people have to add to that. Because a lot of these places we found because of other white people. They were like, oh, I know this one person that does this service and they live in the middle of nowhere.
Speaking of that, we need to check on that man.
Yes, we do. We need to go see him or something.
Speaking of that, yeah, because it's been about a year. I mean, because yeah, we were gonna go last year.
We need to see him. Rarity.
Yeah. I feel that. And I guess it's just really about holding each other accountable. Everybody hold everybody accountable, because the support, like, we know what we're here for. We know what this platform is for, and we know who we are here to serve. But I also know that we wouldn't be this far without people that didn't look like us. So we are definitely appreciative of the support we get from anybody. But I think for us to, be able to tell our own stories and tell our own narratives, it's really about, sharing stuff from our own point of view.
Right.
And like in the YBE group, like I love to see like if someone, like we don't have to just talk about being Black.
Yeah. It can just
Like
be normal.
yeah, it's just like normal stuff. Like the girl posted about trying to lunge her horse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, I post my point of view. Somebody posted their other point of view. Just having conversations that are not centered around I'm the only Black person in this barn. Help.
Yeah.
It's just so much that's what actually creates a community. That's what brings the value, because we can speak from a space that is not only I'm Black and this is what happened to me kind of thing.
Right. Like,
not to say that you can't share that.
and I have information as well, and I need tips as well and advice about my horse.
Yeah, like I like talking about business stuff. I like talking about doing stuff online. Like I enjoy talking about that stuff, but I'm like y'all gonna think I'm a nerd, which is fine. But I don't know. I want people to feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with the fact that you don't have to come from a space of, you don't have to come from a marginalized space to speak to us.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you are, if you aren't. We interview people who say that they've never experienced racism in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos. I'm so glad that you have not experienced that or retained that experience or recognized when something fantastic.
Right.
Those stories
Not
are
your
just as
story, it's
important.
not your story.
Hmm.
I said, it's not your story. It's not your story. Like,
Yeah.
say whatever.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happened to you. Or
Yeah.
is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that is pretty much just what I wanted to get off my well,
Yeah, and I hope that the rest of this year will be a lot um more proactive
yes.
than like the year it took people to kind of plan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even interesting, like even with us being on that diversity long acronym.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's just interesting how like they have to. I mean, it's an organization, but how they have to plan stuff out. It's like, man, y'all can do this today. Like it's just
Yeah.
really interesting.
Got to get all their ducks in a row.
Yeah, and still a lot of it just boils down to people, like the people themselves
Mm-hmm.
that support, or our members, course people in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to
Gotta
see
get
some action. I don't want nobody emailing us. So what can we do?
right.
No.
Right. And I didn't feel bad because I don't feel bad about stuff like that. But like for some people who reached out to us in February, talking about, we would love to hear your story. And I'm like,
You can Google it.
right, you literally can Google it,
There's like
because
50 articles.
we been told 50-11 people our story. Like I had to tell people, like, you're going to have to put forth more effort because you're asking something of us and it doesn't require any effort on your part, and it requires duplicate effort on our parts.
Yes.
And I mean, it's not coming with any coin. So
just taking time away from us.
yeah, it's just taking our time and time that we've already spent saying the same thing. Like we can have freaking YBE bingo and say, where did Aubriana and Caitlin meet up for the first time?
Exactly. Everybody should know that.
Everybody should know that at this point. You should know. You should know. After you know what? Okay, so if you get to this part of the episode, I want you to go to our Instagram or our Facebook page, and under the picture for this episode, I want you to type the answer to that question. Don't say nothing else. Just type the answer. Where did Aubriana and Caitlin meet up for the first time? Type the answer in the comments, and I will send you a free t-shirt. I'll pick somebody randomly, maybe from Facebook and from Instagram. But if you made it here, thank you. You can win a free shirt.
And you better know the answer.
And you better.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, stuff like that. Like you can literally Google it, and you can do your research, and you can read, and we can move on from the getting to know you stage.
And honestly, like people can write an article about us without talking to us.
Yeah, they can. They can listen to some episodes.
Yeah.
Write an
Like
article.
Horse Rookie. I was Googling us I think it was to do our media kit or something like that, to see where all we had been featured. And I came across Horse Rookie, and I was like, I don't remember talking to them.
Nope, we didn't.
We didn't. They had so much information about us. They had quotes from our episodes that I was like, oh, dang, I said that? Caitlin did that? Oh, okay. I was surprised. So, like, I know, I appreciate them. And it was funny, we got connected to them afterwards, after I found them, and then they emailed us, and I was like, oh my God, y'all are so great. But honestly, from now until eternity,
yes,
even though it's not Black History Month anymore, I just think it's super important to take that next step. If you are truly genuine in trying to promote change and invoke change in people that look like you and people that don't, take that next step in like critical thinking skills. Like, think of the next question. Think of starting a conversation that will bring a new perspective.
Right.
And it takes work. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but come at it with a different angle. Mm-hmm. What is a new question that you can ask? We were just on a different podcast. I don't think it's come out yet, but I feel like the story we told there was different. Mm-hmm. It was more so about like how we grew up and not just what we've done in the last 2 years.
Right.
Which was nice. So y'all can't take that because it's already, no, I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. But I just challenge people to think critically. Like, we're done with definitions and surface level conversations. Mm-hmm. We've said this before. And I think now it's like action, like really, I just can't explain it any other way. Right. Action. Like, what are we doing? What is this what action is this conversation going to lead to?
Right.
And if there isn't any, do we need to have it?
Right.
Or can you get the answers from something that's already been published?
That's how you value people and their work and their time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Outside of paying them.
Right. Outside of paying us. I mean, if you want to have the same conversation over and over, I can give you an hourly rate. That's fine. But, this is, I mean, this is work that we're proud of, and this is work that we want to continue doing, but we want to move forward. We don't want to stay in the same place.
Absolutely not.
So,
Or y'all gonna have these conversations with my kids, and I
right,
don't want
right. And honestly, like I was thinking about that the other day, just, like my trajectory in speaking out, because I was listening to a podcast and they were saying how like the most outspoken kids, like they always got in trouble and it was always in grown folks' business, but now they're like lawyers and public speakers and stuff like that. I wasn't like in grown folks' business, but I remember going like in these meetings with the school district to talk about diversity and talk about my experience. I did it in elementary and middle school and in high school. And it's like, we still having these same conversations. And I have grown. I'm grown now. And we're still having these same conversations.
Shameful.
Huh?
Shameful.
Yeah, it's wild. So now that we can do something about it, we're trying to just make it different. So, anywho, that was a little rant. Again, reminder, if you get to this episode, the end of this episode, and you remember where we first met up to plan this podcast, drop it underneath the post for this episode, and you'll be entered in to get a free t-shirt. Yeah. And another thing, rate us on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star review. And we can, if you're not giving us a 5-star review, don't rate us. Because
right, what's the point?
What's the point? Don't spend your extra energy if it's not gonna be 5 stars. All right. But yeah, leave us a review. We do our best to shout out people before each episode who have left us reviews. So do that, and you could get a shout out on our next episode. So I think that is it for today. We have to, I feel like we need to find another we gotta find like a ending thing when it's just us.
Right.
That's not.
We already did that.
Yeah, that's not the what's it called? The Derby round. Yeah. Hold on. I was trying to look at the reviews. Oh,
who did it?
Somebody did leave us reviews. So one was the Sean the Shoer. I like that alliteration. He said, just discovered this podcast. What an awesome endeavor. I'm a farrier in Maryland and wish I could be involved in your program. I hope you all are successful in building your facilities down in North Carolina. Thanks, Sean the Shoer. That's the guy that sent us the email, right? Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Speaking of another trade, we need some boot makers. I know Shoer's not a boot maker, but it made me think of that.
Shoes, horses, feet, all the same.
Right. Everybody got feet.
Yeah. We need somebody to make some boots.
Yes.
Because people are spending money.
Right. Right.
Dang. Oh, I know the boots that I love to wear when I was younger. Like I didn't have a pair of cowboy boots until I was an adult. I did not like cowboy boots at all. But the shoes that I like to wear, those things are so expensive now. I'm like, what the heck?
What kind of shoes were they?
They're not paddock boots, but I mean the sole is like a paddock boot, but the top of it isn't. And I can't even find them.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do find them, they're expensive. So
Yeah.
that would definitely be a good trade. Take some boots.
Yeah.
But I would love that. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to see all the things.
Mm-hmm. Get some tradesmen in here, tradesmen and women. That add it to my list of things to do. To learn. I love to make a pair of boots. But anywho. All right. Well, thanks y'all for listening to us, and we will see you next time on another episode of Young Black Equestrians. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Young Black Equestrians. Head over to our Facebook or Instagram pages and let us know what you thought about that episode. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and have the opportunity to be featured in our next episode.